Lonely Stranger, Eric Clapton. I want to talk about this so much because when I heard it, I was like, oh, wow, okay, there's some borrowed chords and there is some secondary dominance going on. I need to work it out. I need to have a listen and an analysis of it. Aside from it being a stunning, beautiful song. So straight into it from the intro, and I'm sorry I'm talking to you from this crazy angle. It's just I don't have a tripod that works to show enough of the keys. So the phone is on a crappy Amazon tripod, which I highly recommend you don't buy, and a step ladder. So if it falls off, it's too bad for me. Intro is E major, A with an E bass, A minor, E, A with an E bass, A minor, E. So you can take from it immediately that you're in a major key, you're in E major. But something is different. There's a chord in there which is borrowed, and that I was hearing like, oh, okay, something's out of place, something's not in that major zone. Let's listen to it again. So you've got E major, which obviously is the one chord in E major. You've got the A chord, which is the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's over its 5th, which is the E note. A minor. So A minor with an E bass. A minor is not in E major. E major, major scales. The 4th degree is major. If you're going up through it, you've got the 1, which is major, the 2, the 3 are minor, the 4 is major, the 5 is major, the 6 is minor, the 7 is diminished, and then you've got, or half diminished, and then you've got the tonic again, the 1. So A minor, the 4, is not represented, it's not possible out of that selection of E major notes. Can't be made. So Clapton is borrowing the A minor chord from somewhere. Where does he get it? Well, the first place to look is always the parallel key. So if you've got an E major, you've got an E minor. And I'm always thinking E natural minor. I'm not interested in harmonic minor, in melodic minor. Consider them very separate. Natural minor is the same as the relative major. So E minor is the relative of G major because they are made of the same notes. G major, E minor. They're the same. It's just the center in G major is G, the center in E minor is E, but they are the same notes. It's just that, like, if this is one starting point, this is another, this is another, this is another, hence the idea of the modes, that you take this set of notes, but you start them from different places. So G would be the Ionian, A would be the Dorian, and so on and so on. The 6th, the Aeolian. I hate these names. I wish they would die a death. I just call it the 6th mode. I call this the 1 mode, this the 6th mode, the E. It's the same. These names, all the rest of it, again, it's like I've ranted about it in my other guitar video. There's so much confusing stuff out there and it slows you down. And there's actually nothing wrong with just screwing it up, throwing it out the window and just saying, yep, that was great, but we don't wear powdered wigs anymore and we don't need to do all the old-fashioned stuff anymore. It's way easier to simplify it. And to me, that works a hell of a lot better than some crazy, unpronounceable Greek-ish name. Anyway, ran over. So I'm looking now in the E minor. And the 4 chord of a minor is a minor. So we found it. A minor belongs to E minor and it's being borrowed. So Clapton's taking E major, A, the 4 of E, A minor, the 4 of E minor, the parallel, and then back to E major. And you can always take these little Elton Johnisms of, like, he often would take a straight chord like that and invert it, doubling the third. So instead of E, G sharp, B, you've got G sharp, B, E, G sharp, and it gives you that nice sparkle on the top. Doing the same for A major there, so C sharp, E, A, C sharp, and this is why the double third is so cool, because then it's unmistakable. It's in there when you shift to the A minor. And you can go then to the E. So that's the kind of intro section, and it just goes round twice or sometimes once, sometimes 4 times. It just moves with the song. Then you've got the verse. So I must be invisible. No one knows me. I've gone down dead-end streets on my hands and knees. And you're back into that intro thing again with the A minor. So the verse is the same every time. Let's take a look at the chords. We've got E, going to that gospel 4 chord with the E in the bass, moving then to C sharp minor 7 if you want it, F sharp 7, G sharp minor 7, F sharp 7 again, going to the B, to the B7 with that 7 in the bass, the A in the bass, and then you've got the E again because we're starting it up again, to the 4, the A over E, C sharp minor 7, F sharp 7, and then there's a little change for the second time round. A D major, I put the A in the bass, but it doesn't hurt to put the F sharp in the bass, whatever you hear that you like most. I like the A in the bass, the 5th in the bass, because then it goes to the A. And you can put the E in the bass, but sometimes I hear that A in the bass. Again, it's up to you going to the E. So the first section of that, the E, A, C sharp minor, F sharp. That's a really beautiful start to a verse. So you're again in E, it's confirming you're in E major, and it does exactly the same as the intro. It moves to the 4 chord, the A with that E in the bass. Then we get the C sharp minor, and I'm hearing that 7 note in there, but again it's like, it's to taste. So C sharp minor, C sharp, E, G sharp, and if you want the flat 7, that B note. I was finding it here just because it's closer, G sharp, B, C sharp, E, just because it's there, but there's no reason why you can't spread it out to other places. So, invisible. So the E and the A are in E. The 6th of the scale is minor, that makes sense. C sharp minor is in E, right? Going to F sharp 7, and here we get this borrowed, not borrowed, but here we get this change again. Something has happened which is different. So F sharp is the 2nd in the scale of E, and the 2 in the scale of E is a minor chord. In a major scale, the 2 is a minor chord. So we've got here a major chord. Where is it coming from? Well, there's a long way round to find it, but he's going from the F sharp, the major chord, the major 2, to the G sharp minor, which is fine, that's in the key of E, but he's only touching on it. He's going back to the F sharp chord, and then he's going to the B chord in the next line. So you're hearing E, A, C sharp minor, F sharp, G sharp, F sharp, B. F sharp is the 5 of B, so it's a secondary dominant. B is the 5 of E, so that's going to go there, and it does do that eventually, going from B to the 7 back to E. So you can hear it in its totality, making sense as it goes from the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 6 chord, the major 2 chord, the minor 3rd, which is what it's supposed to be, the major 2, which is the odd one out, which is the 5 of the B, which is the 5 of the E. So it's a secondary dominant. It's the 5 of something else. In this case, the 5 of the 5. So we've got, I must be invisible, no one knows me. Back to E. It's genius. It's a really amazing piece of writing, of structuring something. If I played it with an F sharp minor diatonic, you would see why it doesn't work. So we're going from the 1, 4, 6, 2, 3, 2, 5. It just sounds lame. It doesn't want to move like that, no matter how you voice it. Instead, it 1, 4, 6, that major 2, 3, 2, 5, 7. Does the same again. The major 2. Then it's got D in there. Well, D major is not in the key of E major. There is no such thing. In the E major, we've got the D sharp, and that is the diminished, or the half diminished chord. It just doesn't belong. It doesn't belong. So we have to look again, where is it coming from? Well, we know in a minor key, that that parallel minor key, again, that the 7 is major, and D major is the 7 of E minor. Remember, the 3, 6, and 7 of a minor are major chords. So we found it again. It's borrowed from that same E minor, the parallel minor. Back into E major, that's the 4. So it's got that plagal amen cadence. 4, 1. Let's hear it again. It's the same every time for the verse. Let me call it out again. 1 E to the A over E, which is the 4. C sharp minor, which is the 6. F sharp, which is that major 2. G sharp, which is the G sharp minor, which is the 3. Blah, 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 blah. F sharp, which is the 5 of B, which is the 5 of E. So the 4 to the 6 to that major 2 to this borrowed D chord. So you could consider it like the 7 of E minor, 4 to the 1. That's how I'm thinking of it. Then we get that beautiful chorus. it's got everything you ever could want in a gospel song. It's got everything. It's so, so perfect and brilliant. Because I is going to that F sharp from E, going to that F sharp 7. Well, we've found that already. It doesn't belong. The major 2 doesn't belong in E major, but it does in E minor. So it's the borrowed F sharp 7. And we've got the B again, because that's the 5. That's what it's coming from. F sharp 7 is the 5 of the B. Dropping to the 7. Going to the E in an inversion, and you can put the flat 7, so you can make it an E dominant 7. Why? Because it's going to an A. So it's the 5 of the A, another secondary dominant. E, that borrowed F sharp 7, the major 2 from the E minor, to the 5, which is B, to the 7, to the 1, to the 1 flat 7, which is the 5 of A, to G sharp. Ah, that's the bridge over troubled water kind of vibe. G sharp to C sharp minor. Well, we know C sharp minor belongs in E, but G sharp does not. G sharp minor does, because it's the 3rd of E major. E major, remember the 3 in a major is minor. Well, that's all right for G sharp minor, but it's not G sharp major. That is coming from being a secondary dominant to C sharp minor, where it's going next. Well, be on my day. There's your C sharp minor. Going to E7. Well, we already realised you can't have an E dominant 7, that flat D, that flat 7, that D, you can't have that in E major. It would be a major 7. But it sounds bad. You got to have that E7, E dominant 7. Why? Because it's doing the same trick going to A. It's a 5 to 1. It's just not the 5 to the 1. It's a secondary dominant. So E is the dominant of A, and then we're rounding it up to this F sharp 7 with the A in the bass, A sharp in the bass. Well, we know where we got that F sharp 7. It came from the parallel minor, E minor. It's the 2 of E minor. There's your E chord again. It's just that we put the B in the bass. C sharp minor 7. So it's normal. It's just the 6th chord of E major. Then we've got an F sharp minor. All this time we've been having E moving to F sharp. But this time, the final time, it moves E to F sharp minor. F sharp minor. Why? Well, because it's going home. And it's essentially a 2-5-1 chord. In E major, the 2 is the F sharp. The 5 is the B, the 1 is the E. So it's the original, ultimate 2-5-1 for the key. And because it's gospel, you got to have the 4 chord over the 5 chord. So in this case, B's in the bass, A's on the top. Now A is the 4 chord of E, B is the 5 chord. They're so good, why not have them both? And that's going then home to E. So let me just hit that through again. I don't know what I'm doing there. That's a kind of cool thing. I'm hearing bridge over troubled water. So oh, it's just chromatic. If you want that kind of thing, it's just because yeah, why not? And then the 2-5-1. I'll call out the chords as I go. So you've got E, which is the 1, F sharp 7, which is the major 2 borrowed from E minor, the B with the 7 going to E with the G bass, E dominant 7, which is the 5 of A, which goes to G sharp 7, which is the 5 of C sharp minor 7, which goes to E7, which is the 5 of A, going to F sharp 7, which is the major 2 of the E minor, so it's borrowed, E with a B bass, C sharp minor 7, which is just the 6th chord, and then F sharp minor 7, which is the 2 of E major, B in the bass, A on the top, which is it's a 5 to me, even though it's the 4 coming through so strong. You can call it an A9, but forget about it. The 9's in the bass, so I don't know what that means theoretically, but it means gospel to me going to the E. So that's it. That's the best I can explain it. Call me out if I've said something incorrect. If I'm wrong about something, apologise again for the crazy angle. Maybe I can get a tripod one day. Until then, be free, rock on, and enjoy your music.